Sunday morning communion. We'll be back again in a couple of weeks because you want to know what, folks? We're doing a documentary for 2016, year 2016, Anno Domini. Now, how about that? Next Sunday we'll do 2017, and fait accompli. The job will be brought to a successful conclusion. We will have met the requirement. What is the requirement? Well, the history of a chat with Glendora is parallel to the history of public access TV. Victoria did a documentary of a chat with Glendora from 1972 to 2010. And so you and I were challenged, called to do the documentary from where Victoria left off up to today. There's a song about that. In simple trust, like theirs who heard beside the Syrian Sea, the gracious calling of the Lord. Let us, like them, without a word, rise up and follow thee. So we heard the gracious calling of the Lord, and it's always best to rise up and follow without a word. Meet the challenge. Not our will, but the will of the whole universe. The will of all of us one together. We're all one together, just like the air, just like the water. We're all one together. And we're all working to make the universe go and grow. 2016. Dad, don't be so hard on my new boyfriend. He doesn't have many faults, Dad, but he makes the most of the ones he has. He's only a young man trying to get ahead, and he needs one. Blessings 2016. We will make this palatable by changing a hat every couple of pages, okay? And we will make it palatable by having jokes every 4 pages. How's that? How many pages are there? 16. Let us, without a word, rise up and follow thee. I'm sorry it's so dark when I read on the magnifier, but if it's too bright, the 200 watts glare, and I can't see it. Hello, dear.com. Hello, dear.com. You always have to put your gluteus maximus on some soft paper. Blessings, 2016, page 1. The world's longest running public access television show. Boy, is that a blessing. All of us together did that. It took so many of us to do that. That is indeed a grand accomplishment. The world's longest running public access television show. Then, in 2016, it was 44 years. Now, in 2017, it's 45 years. the article in the Advertiser. Every week they print an article about the Glendora Vegetarian Club and about stop putting your money down to agonize animals. Stop paying for it. Have nothing to do with it. Lucent, the alumni publication of American International College, Springfield, Massachusetts. And the article that came out in their fall edition at Christmas time. Red hat, red jacket in front of the green trees. Red and green for Christmas. And people all over the United States respecting their work, the work of the people at that college, and the work of Ellen Dooley in articulating it, and her ability to write. Her ability to articulate, to express, to bring a whole personality alive on a piece of paper so that it lives with you. Ellen Dooley and Vice President of Marketing Robert Cole. Mary Craig took the pictures and did such a strange thing. She would not sell a copy of the pictures to me. I asked her 6 times. She took the pictures in September, and she says, all right, in January, but she never came through. Why wouldn't a photographer sell prints of that photographer's picture? Now, she hurt photography a lot, because that forced Glendora and her friends to do the pictures that Glendora needed, that a chat with Glendora needed, on telephone. And the pictures on telephone, to this amateur's eyes, are just as good as the pictures that she was paid so much money to come all the way from Northampton, Massachusetts, to execute. So she did photography a whole lot of harm. Here's a person who believes now you don't need a photographer anymore. You take your own pictures, you put them on the computer, and you take your phone to Walmart or Walgreens or whoever, and you make your own prints. That is the story on Mary Craig, Northampton, Massachusetts. Then that was in the year 2016, 2017. Heather Cahill, who was head of the alumni office at American International College and was doing a great job, and she went and left after being there years, and I was so sad to lose her. But guess where she went? She went to the Springfield museums, who had bought a whole house to honor and immortalize Dr. Seuss. And I'm trying to think of his name and his daddy's name. He was a junior. Anyway, he grew up in Springfield, and he was graduated from the classical high school, 1937, and the same high school that you went to with my reunion, 70 years We had the 70th reunion of the class of 1946 of Classical High School. That was in 2016 also. Anyway, she's gone to be the curator of that museum. And it's a whole complex. It's a quadrangle. Museums, and the library. 3 museums and the library, and the quadrangle of grass in between where the Springfield Symphony used to have summer concerts. But no more, because they took that quadrangle and made huge, life-size, bronze statues of Dr. Seuss sitting at his desk creating The Hat and the Cat Came Back, Horton the Elephant, and they had reproductions in sculpture, in bronze, life-size. That whole quadrangle now is that. And you can go to Springfield, Mass., to the library, to the museums, and see that. And we have taken you there, and we have done videos on it. They're on the YouTube somewhere. Another blessing in the year 2016, days when the score was P for perfect. Not A, beyond A. A score beyond A is P for perfect, 100. What does it mean? You did everything that your conscience told you to do. That's a P day, a perfect day. I used to have them by the day. Now it takes a week to get one because there's so much in the cycle. But not as much as there used to be. Sometimes back then it took 2 weeks. So Heather Cahill, Robert Cole, Eddie restored the 1980 Lincoln. Remember, I set it on fire? I was trying to start it, and you have to put a little drop of gas in the butterfly, in the carburetor, to start it. You still do. But I put this much in. And it overflowed into the breather bottom, and that gasoline caught on fire. And I got out of the car, and I stood, and I watched with my neighbors. I watched that gasoline burn itself out. Well, it did damage quite a few wires, and I was wondering if that was the end of the 1980 Lincoln. But no, Eddie Würzburg brought the 1980 Lincoln back to life. $300, much of which was the toll to and from the Happy House 3. There is a blessing. The 1980 have been coexistence with the chat with Glendora and the 1993. Another blessing, Austin. It was so good to hear the 1980 start up again. But you saw that yesterday on the video that went up to YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook yesterday. The 1980 being driven all over the yard, and the 1990 Lincoln also. Austin was a blessing. Chapin was a blessing. The Glendora Vegetarian Club was a big success and continues to be. Oh, we cleaned out the garage, got rid of a lot of junk, paid $200 or $300 to do that against the protests of the owners. We cleaned out the shed. The people who left number 51A had done a terrible job on the interior of that apartment, wrecked it, and then went away and left piles, furniture that filled up the whole porch when we had to throw it away. And then the shed left 28 articles. And one by one, 5 or 6 a day, I would take those articles up to the curb. And they were all repossessed. And I did that for over a period of a week. And then swept that garage out and got it clean. It went back years. Every TV show got a TV station. It was cable cast. And every TV station got a show every week. And some TV shows and some TV stations got 4 shows every week, 12 of them. We added Litchfield and Norwalk, Connecticut. And the article on the SS Glendora and what happened to Glendora after she left WRGB General Electric, the television station Channel 6, was printed in the Berkshire Memories by James Schulman and his wife Jackie Schulman. And it was a lovely 6-page article with 20 pictures and very well written. And that came out. That was a blessing of 2016. .com was well, continues to be well, has always been well, and has vegan, and is vegan. She's well, she's pleased, she purrs, she's content. And when I was dismayed about her coming up on the desk, she retired to 2 piles of acrylic blankets. Page 1, Blessings of 2016. In simple trust like theirs who heard beside the Syrian sea the gracious calling of the Lord, let us like them without a word rise up and follow thee. Oh, we're supposed to change hats. Kayla and Jeff moved in. They were a blessing, and they gave me Wi-Fi. And Van Burton dog moved in. And then a little tiny dog, smaller than .com, moved in. These are the blessings of 2016, and we're up to 22. Zanetta, oh, what a sweetie, how I love that dog. And Bailey dog, how I loved him. A new mailbox. Some careless teenager came to see Samantha, and he backed his vehicle into all of the mailboxes. And he twisted them and ruined them, and he was given a ticket. And then he said he was told to come back and repair them. But He didn't know what he was doing. And so we just pulled up the old one, Sandy and Andrew McLean, and put in a new one. And the old one was metal, and the new one is plastic. Do you want to know plastic makes a much better mailbox? For one thing, the door doesn't get warped so that it won't close on the mailbox, but with a plastic one that doesn't happen. And it stays tight and secure. 21 DVDs every 2 months. No, 21 DVDs every 2 months. That's not right. It's like 421 DVDs, new DVDs every month. I know what that means. 21 new DVD shows. 21 half-hour shows every 2 months. That's what it is. And then the duplication comes up to about 420 to go to 65 TV stations. Billy Adrian was a blessing, the manager of public access in Worcester, Massachusetts for Charter Communications. A great blessing. But he's gone. He doesn't call me anymore. He used to call every week. We used to talk and had great friendship going. But now it's zero. He doesn't call back. But I call him every week and give him a joke. I asked for 5 shows equal 20 up to 65 TV stations. I don't get the drift. Schenectady came aboard. Schenectady Public Access Proctor's Theater. We starts the shirts. We finally learned how to make white clothes white. Bleach, OxyClean, soaked them. You know what finally did it? We finally found the solution to keep white clothes white. It's called scrub. But you soak them in the washing machine for 5 or 6 hours Monday morning. And then at 2 o'clock you start them washing. And you do use bleach, OxyClean, and Purex. And we got the whites white. A joke every day on Facebook. That is certainly one of the top 10. Well, they're all good, the blessings. And it's called 30 Seconds. You've heard of the TV show 60 Minutes? Well, this TV show is called 30 Seconds. And it's viewed by about 1,000 people every week. And it's the assurance of having cheered up 1,000 people every week. That is a blessing. How do you know it cheers them up? Because I've told the jokes for 40 years. I know what the response to the jokes is. And when I tell a joke, I can see the people enjoy life with a laugh. And there's 2 Facebooks. Glendora Public Figure, I don't know what this means. And then there's another one, Glendora Friends. And a joke every day on Twitter. And on YouTube. up to 200 videos. What kind of videos, Glendora? We're up to 11,549 programs to chat with Glendora, not counting the 30-second jokes. Another blessing is Mace, the owner of the property, he and his wife Linda, Mace's repairs on this property during the year 2016. They were spectacular. He didn't finish, which is unfortunate. The animals, helping the animals, sending $50 to $100 every month to each of the following: Friends of Animals, Mercy for Animals, Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, not cutting up animals to teach doctors, Vegan Outreach, Farm Animal Rights Movement, and there's another one. A referee describes a football fan as somebody who blames the referee for missing a call on the interior of the center line. Then the fan goes out into the parking lot and he can't find his car. And a coach, high school coach, said to his players, the trouble with officials is they don't care who wins. And I say, I don't know what makes the meetings of the Glendora Vegetarian Club so dull, but whatever it is, it always works. And if you're giving a speech, remember, for a speech to be immortal, it does not have to be eternal. The athlete was being interviewed and he was asked, what is the name of your bank? And he said, Piggy. And the barber said to his customer, where are you going for your vacation? And the young man says, well, I'm going to Rome. And the barber says, you won't like Rome. The beds are hard, the food is no good, and you'll never get to see the Pope. Oh, the young man is disenchanted. But he says, I'm going anyway. He comes back from his vacation. The barber said, where'd you go on your vacation? And the young man says, I went to Rome. The beds were very comfortable. The food was delicious, and I did get to see the Pope. The barber says, you got to see the Pope? What did the Pope say to you? And the young man said to the barber, well, the Pope pat me on the head 3 times, and then he said, where did you get that haircut? Page 3. Shauna moved, and there went Zanetta and Bailey. And in their desperation, we were able to rescue Zanetta and Bailey for a couple of days until they were okay again. Mary moved, and so did Chevy Dog and Bella Dog. Chevy Dog couldn't stand to be without Mary. He went through one window and out onto the porch, but he went through another window that was on the second story and down to the ground. And he was caught by the dog catcher once, and he would bark and bark continuously for 20 minutes, 30 minutes when she would leave. Chevy Dog was a very interesting dog, and Tiffany moved. There was Keith, and what? Icon. Oh, 1,000 views on Facebook one day at 3,000 views, and another time 6,000 views of one joke. And the rent was increased from $350 a month to $400 a month. When I took the place, I made an offer to the owner, and he wanted $400 for it. It's questionable whether it is really worth $400. To me, it's worth a whole lot more. But in the real estate market, it's barely $400, and really not. And so I went home and I called him up and I said, I will make you an offer. Tomorrow morning I will send you a check for $1,400. No, I will send you a postal money order for $1,400. That'll be the rent for May, June, July, and August. This is the year 2012. And that brought the rent, you see, down from $400 to $350. And that's the way it was for 5 years. But then he went up. So the last check I sent him was for $1,600. The rent for May, June, July, and August. And I'll tell you folks, it's a very good feeling to have the rent paid for 4 months. And I forgot to sign a check. I was so intent upon writing on the check that it was the rent for May, June, July, and August of 2017, Anno Domini. So he brought the check back and I signed it. Rent increase. Yeah, I told you about sending donations every month to animals. Oh, a noticeable decline in the year 2016 in quite a few things. Quite a few things. In agility, and in hearing, and in seeing. How old was you? 88. Noticeable decline at age 88. This blessing of 2016. Without this, I couldn't see at all. I cannot see anything unless I look at this magnifier that makes the letters this big. Thank you, Loren Teachout. Thank you, Steventown Library. Thank you, Nassau Free Library. Thank you, Tracy Clegg. Thank you, Kurt Vincent. noticeable decline in eyesight, a knee not moving correctly, twinges in the hinges, back seems to want to not stand up straight, and it seems to want to droop, and that changes the position of the back, and when the back changes its position, it aches. When it has to go into a position that it's not used to, it aches. Working after 5 p.m. and not wasting the time after 5 p.m., 6 p.m., and not going to bed at 7 p.m., but trying to stay up until 9 p.m. Why was that a blessing? Well, what good are you doing in the world going to bed at 7 p.m.? Well, you get up at 5, but still. So that was a blessing, getting out of that. The detail pile up got out of control, and that got mastered. The in-mail. Folks, what are we going to do about this in-mail? Now, we love animals, and we're so happy there's so many new people trying to help animals, if they are legitimate. How do we know they are? But the mailbox fills up every day with people asking for money. Now, we want to help the universe go and grow, and we want to help each other. But isn't that unreasonable? And I tried to solve it. Everyone that came in and asked for money for the animals knew I would buy a bunch of money orders for $5 each. I'd buy 10 at a time. And then I would make it out to Baidawi, but I'd only put Baidawi's name on it, not its address, and I wouldn't put my return address on it and my name. I just put Baidawi, put it in an envelope, and send it out without a return address. That assuaged my conscience. I didn't want to say no to them in case they were helping animals, and then I would pass on their literature to somebody else. So then we'll say another one would come in from the ASPCA, the American Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. We've got to do that, we've got to have that. And then into ASPCA, I'd give them $5 money order and put in the literature that Baidawi had sent me, and write on the Baidawi literature, we gave Baidawi $5. Can you? And that's what I'm doing now. And I've done it for everyone so far, but I'm getting to the point now where I think that's got to be stopped. What's the answer to that? We're in the position of helping, making the universe go and grow. What are we going to do for something when it gets out of control and gets out of hand? Some of this is illegible, and I regret this terribly. You know, why keep a record if it's going to be illegible? That's one of my deepest regrets. But that again has to do with vision. better without what? Maureen Celery certainly is a blessing of 2016. The hat room when when the hats were in the museum in boxes, we brought them over, and push pin all along the wall of the hat room. I think there's about 50 of them, and we had to change the policy of wearing the same hat every week because the other hats weren't getting worn. So now we wear a different hat every day, whether it matches or not. O Sabbath, come by Galilee, O come of hills above, where Jesus knelt to share with thee the silence of eternity, interpreted by love. There's page 1 done, there's page 2 done. Page 3. How come, the young man wanted to know, how come the boy that wasn't good enough to marry your daughter is the dad of the smartest grandson in the whole world? The man says he has a disease. The doctor says your disease is so rare. The doctor said to his patient, your disease is so rare that we haven't even had a telephone for it yet. And the senior citizen said, if I'd known I was going to live this long, I'd taken better care of myself. And what did the Japanese man say to the eye doctor? The eye doctor said to the Japanese man, you have a cataract. And the Japanese man says, no, I have a wrinkle. And the senior citizen said she was in her cereal age. Instead of feeling her oats, she felt her corns. And the woman was married, when she was a little girl, she says, I was worried about my pigeon toes when I was a little girl, and now, at this age, I'm more worried about my crow's feet. And the woman who had a birthday, and she said, I just turned 23, and her friend says, that's right, yesterday she was 32. Is your husband more decisive since he's taken that psychology course? The wife says, yes. He does the wrong thing much faster now. And one thing you can say about a chat with Glendora, it always has a happy ending. Everybody's glad when it's over. Now, page 4. Blessings of 2016. Pat Nichols, Sandy McLean, Maxine Bogash, Diane Bingham. Feed the birds every day. And then later feed the birds twice every day. We had 3 empty apartments for a long time. Wimple took good care of the lawns. The New Cumberland gas station, very ornate, with a great deal of style and a great deal of improvement of the community. But we lost Stewart's. Stewart's moved out of the community into Skodak across the Valatia Kill, and built a new building, and now is neighbor with the museum. And so we lost that. We lost the computer store to Skodak. We lost the pharmacy to Skodak. Who's we? Nassau Village. We continue to feed the birds over people who complained about feeding the little birds. St. Mary's car crash. A car came. Well, my dear folks, Sunday morning communion.